Hey guys, welcome to the Wildbird Show. I'm Meghna,
And I'm Upamanyu.
and we have got a great show planned for you. You must actually be wondering what the headline topic this time is. But it's not actually about petting an ant, but it is about keeping an ant as a pet. Would you do that? Because That's how ants are being smuggled in syringes from Nairobi to other places in a whole big black market nexus. We're also going to be talking about how in eastern Indonesia, communities are reviving customary systems to protect the seas. So, we're going to be talking about all the customary protection measures that they are taking. And we're also going to be talking about how teen innovators in Kenya are turning farm waste into an award winning vehicle exhaust filter. And we have some more updates on the cocaine hippos and other things. What else do we have on the roster?
There is a story from the AI world or AI and conservation world. So AI obviously has been a very effective tool in conservation more recently. So this is a story from Guatemala. We'll talk about that. We are also talking about nature and the impacts of war on nature. There's a story from the Guardian on that. There is also a story about clean energy and sort of how more developed countries are wanting that investment push into more of the developing nations as well. Along with that, as always, we'll have some shorter stories, as Meghna said, and some updates if we have the time.
Okay, so our headline topic. Now, actually, there's another topic I would like to talk about right after this because there's one about insects and feeling
Mm.
pain. But we'll start with the headline topic. Would you pet an ant? Would you want an ant as a pet? So the headline topic is a topic from the Guardian. It's an article from the Guardian. It says smuggled in syringes how Nairobi became a nexus for the black market in giant harvester ants. Nairobi has emerged as a key hub for the illegal wildlife trade in giant harvester ants, driven by burgeoning black market for exotic pets in Asia and Europe. Recent court cases in Kenya underscore the escalating issue, raising significant conservation and biosecurity concerns. A prominent instance involved Chinese national Zhang Kekun, arrested at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with over 2,200 live ants, predominantly the prized Messer cephalites species, destined for China. Sentenced to a year in prison and fined, his case marks the third such conviction in less than a year. The presiding magistrate emphasized the necessity of a deterrent sentence given the trade's ecological impact and rising incidence. And collectors and hobbyists globally pay substantial amounts for these insects, housing them in formicariums for observation. Studies confirm the species' popularity in online sales, highlighting the widespread demand fueling this illicit trade. Um, and I think this was something that when we were scripting, Oops and me were both a little confused first. That we were like, wait, what exactly is being smuggled in syringes? And then ants, but why ants? And then we were like, oh my god, people have ants as pets. That's insane. Like, like how do they really have an ant as a pet? How do they interact with the ant as a pet? What exactly do they do? And then there is this entire black market around it. They're paying like huge amounts for these ants and they're collecting them like I don't know, it's still not making any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I think our question was like, um, petting literally means interacting and being physically intimate with another animal. So you can't do that with an ant because it will bite the hell out of you. So yeah, and we also learned the word formicarium, I think. We were aware of aquariums and terrariums, but formicarium is something we learned that such a thing exists. I don't know, like, what is the fascination there with? with ants. Maybe people are fascinated by seeing these ants creating their burrows and their intricate underground um, you know tunneling systems and all those things. Maybe that is the interesting part here.
Or maybe how ants are super hardworking and they never stop and they never give up, and how they're so resilient.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen ants, they just never give up. Even when they fall like into, like, let's say if you've ever seen a ant fall into the toilet seat, it keeps trying to come up, keeps trying, keeps
Yeah.
trying, keeps trying. Never seen a lazy ant in my life. The only lazy ones were probably the ones that just couldn't go somewhere. But yeah,
True.
that's the thing about ants. And the really weird part about it, obviously we've spoken about this, I think, last time, last episode, about how the Facebook sales and illegal sales, and I'm sure that ants are probably part of that illegal sales. Going
Mm,
by this article, there must be a lot of ants also being sold online. Um,
mm.
and I honestly still fail to understand the extent of exotic pets that people want. Like, at what point or what place do they mark the line that, okay, this is the most exotic pet I can have, and it actually listens to me, it responds to me, it knows that I am its owner. I don't know
Mm.
where we draw that line.
Yeah. And like I was just looking through the article, just sharing my screen. Also appalling to see the amount of plastic. So each individual ant is like capsuled within this plastic container. This is apparently the samples of garden ants inside special plastic containers presented as evidence in the Zhang Kyun Kequin court case. I don't know. I mean, so much plastic is being used as well, so it's a double whammy, in
Yeah,
terms of
and
the impact.
but you see it this way, Oops. Like, he cares so much about the individual ants and the amount of money he would get, that he's actually encapsulated them in separate capsules, so that he can
How do you even
carry
go
them
about doing that?
carefully.
Like, yeah, it's
It's
such
like a
a
capsule, right? Like, I mean, it's like in taking medicines, but like a huge amount of
no, but
medicine.
how do you put that ant? You probably would be using some tweezers or something like that. You'll
Yeah,
have to
you
be
probably
delicate with it.
use. You have to be very delicate. You probably use like those tiny forceps. I mean, if he is someone who actively is part of this, he probably knows how to handle his ants. It's
Yeah.
just that he got caught handling them. But the interesting part also is that I'll just share my screen once. They've actually shown a photo of him
Yeah.
up in the article, and they've shown a photo of other people as well. So this is the giant harvester ant that you see, that people are going crazy about. Um, Cute, but I still don't know why people would want it as a pet. This is actually the guy, and they've taken a ridiculously good photo of him, who's who's being charged with. I mean, it almost seems like you've taken like a not a photo of a criminal,
Like a
but
headshot, like
yeah,
a
like a really casual photo of like some press conference or something, like, like Zhang was arrested, but look, like, I've taken a good photo of him as a reporter. um and then this is another close-up of that giant African harvester, and just going about its business, eating its leaves, living its life, a good life outside, not what's a formicarium.
yeah.
And these are other people, Belgian nationals, who have also pled guilty to charges where they were found with about 5,000 live African giant harvester queen ants packed in tubes. And these
Wow.
are teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently there is a huge demand for these ants as well, which we did not know about, and we couldn't have thought in our wildest dreams. And people are just carrying them in their luggages and things like that, in syringes or capsules or whatever. But the thing is, like, insects obviously um, come way down our priority list for things to save. Unfortunately, there is such a list, official or unofficial, however it may be. But there is such a list that which species are worth saving and which species are, top of the list and bottom of the list. Insects Unfortunately, as I said, at the bottom of the list, and ants definitely, yeah, definitely in that bottom. But it is also good to see prominent, publication covering and carrying such a story, and it making some headlines. So,
I thought you
uh,
would say, but the ant collectors, like for them, ants are like at the top of the list. Like,
I
they are
mean,
the.
I don't know if there, if it is such that, you know, I don't know, keeping something as pets is a I don't know, it's a dichotomy in my mind. Like, you love that animal, but I don't think you love that species. You just love that one animal that you keep with you. You don't necessarily have to love the whole species, but one individual animal, you definitely love it. Because if you love the species as a whole, then probably you wouldn't keep that as a pet, right? I,
Yeah,
I would
true.
believe that.
I mean, especially wild animals. And talking
Mm,
about, I mean, keeping such animals as pets, obviously they have their own impacts as well. So
mm-hmm,
ants, how Oops was saying that they tunnel through the soil, they actually harvest the soil, they fertilize the soil, they move the
mm,
soil around. So ants and all these little creatures that live under the soil are very, very crucial to the crop
mm,
growth and other things. And when we take ants out of this ecosystem, basically it would have devastating effects. And it's written in the article that we lose the ants, we lose our cattle, we lose our milk and our butter and our cheese, and we lose our wildlife and our tourism. That's the kind of
mm,
impact that it would have by removing ants. Obviously, how we think about ants is very low on our scale. I mean, we don't even think about the rats that we're similar to. So the ants
mm,
even come even lower on our scale.
mm,
We're usually scared of ants. We don't care about ants. When we see ants, we like, let's keep our bag somewhere else, or spray some insecticides so they go out of our lives. But ants are super super important for the environment, and secondly, they're important to their local environment. Now, these giant harvester ants are probably very crucial to the environment in Africa, from where they're being smuggled. But then, if they are introduced to, let's say, China, and then the impact is devastating there because they don't belong to the soil there, then that would be another problem. And this is what happens with exotic pets. A lot of exotic pets are brought. Then, when you cannot handle them and you cannot maintain them, then you kind of release them wherever. And with ants, I mean, you can't even tell if they're released,
mm.
right? Like by the time they're multiplied, and there would be some great impact after maybe like 10, 15, 20 years. That's when you would know that there's been like an illegal um, or invasive species release. And it's always the humans that bring these animals in, and then we call them invasive. um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is true. I think the statement you said there, like, I completely agree with that. Like, we do not care care about ants, but these people certainly do. I would have thought that because we don't care about ants, we wouldn't at least like try to smuggle them and impact them in that way. At least from that route, they're protected, but apparently not. Um,
Yeah, I mean, moving any wild animal out of its habitat into another habitat is not a good idea. And I think we've spoken about this earlier as well with the newt and salamander story, right? Like in
mm-hmm,
another place, how there was a exotic pet that was left in the forest or in near the river stream, and now it's overpopulated and it's become an invasive species, and it's threatening the native species. And this always happens with a lot of invasive versus native. Not every animal adapts and coexists. Sometimes the invasive species take over. And if it takes over and it creates a problem, now we do not know the long term consequences of that kind of adaptability, but it's not something that's happening naturally, right? Because we are the ones who are facilitating that change. And this is what probably will happen with a lot of ants as well. Like, not everyone is a collector, not everyone is a hobbyist, not everyone will actually care about their ants. Like, it's possible that today Oops gets an ant and I'm like really curious and I'm like, wow, it looks great, Oops. Like, I mean, you have ants. Let me
mm.
also get ants. And then tomorrow I'll be like, oh my God, the ant bit me. I don't like ants. I want to get this ant out of my house. So I just go and release it anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and such for such small creatures, nobody will be able to notice or tell even, but their impact will be, huge. So, I think dogs and cats are enough for us. Maybe some farm animals, if you so desire. keep a cow, keep a horse, that kind of thing. The domesticated animals, basically.
Keep a sheep.
Um,
If you've seen
keep a
sheep
sheep.
detectives, sheeps are so cute. And so are pigs. So are all the farm animals. The thing is, at least they're domesticated. They're loved or they're not tamed is a different thing, but they're domesticated. Anything that's domesticated can live with us, but anything that's wild should be left wild.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's the gist of the and the moral of the story. Where please don't smuggle ants, man. What is this? Uh,
And
there
don't
are
facilitate it either. Don't become an
right.
ant collector now just because we've told you about this story.
True. I think this sort of thing is definitely, again, we are in a casual mood because this is such a, like, on one hand it's very illegal and scary and that sort of thing, but on the other hand it is genuinely quite funny that this is happening. So yeah, I think uh, we must sort of avoid these kinds of practices and sort of keep ourselves away from all these things. I think we last week talked about illegal trade on Facebook and things like that. So I think, yeah, these things are better left in their places, in their wild, in their native spaces. Otherwise it just becomes a pest, and then we go about culling them or making plans about getting them out of the country and so on and so forth. So yeah.
True. Be more responsible about the kind of pets you have, and just because you've had this headline topic, it doesn't mean that you should go and pet an ant. Okay.
No,
Either way,
absolutely not.
both ways.
Absolutely not. But speaking about sort of African harvester ants and those kinds of things, there is uh, uh, a positive story that is um, coming out of Central America, and I think sort of Latin America as well, from Guatemala. And it says, in Guatemala, new AI technology will be listening for illegal deforestation. Now, this is overall, I think, success story that we'll discover. This is from Mongabe, and this goes on to say that a new project in Guatemala's vast Maya Biosphere Reserve will deploy advanced bioacoustics devices with AI to combat environmental crime. These intelligent devices are significantly trained to identify sounds such as chainsaws and gunshots, signaling illegal logging, hunting, and other illicit activities, providing real time alerts. This innovation aims to significantly improve rapid response times for rangers, a long standing challenge given the reserve's enormous 2.2 million hectare area, where deforestation and crimes often go undetected for days or even weeks. Currently, rangers struggle to detect incidents promptly, hindering effective intervention against squatting, cattle ranching, and illegal logging. Part of the Bezos Earth Fund's 100 million AI for Climate and Nature Grand Challenge, this initiative leverages AI to tackle pressing biodiversity loss and climate change in vulnerable ecosystems. Mm, I think great usage. I do not like the name Bezos popping
Yeah,
up
Earth
there.
Fund. Yeah, because
I do not like that.
he's absolutely against even saving the Amazon. So it's kind of a double-edged sword with these billionaires. You know, they
Yeah.
kind of show or they get some kind of benefit, obviously, but they have to have some kind of CSR initiative. So they put
Uh-huh.
some money in, and then they get like a good name out of doing some things, and then they do all these wrong things. Everything else is wrong, but that one
Mm.
thing kind of, I don't know
Yeah,
how
they
it
try to
moves.
find these opportunities where they can do little and get a lot of recognition for doing that, you know. Um Leonardo DiCaprio famously produced a series of nature documentaries and was very vocal about nature a few years ago, and that just negated his fact that he was traveling in these private jets and doing all these other things that intensely harm the nature. So I think that's how basically it's a PR game with these celebrities and billionaires altogether. But I think the concept, this technology sounds like a good one. Again, it's not infringing on. I am very wary of AI technologies because it has a potential to infringe on your privacy rights and things like that. But in this case, nobody lives in the forest, or I expect nobody lives in this forest, so there is no infringement of privacy of humans there. But for the as far as the illicit activities are concerned, um, they would be detecting them. And even if it's a false positive, it's fine because it's better safe than sorry. And especially in a forest where no kind of logging or no kind of hunting is allowed, even if it's a false positive, then yeah, it's fine and it can be dealt with in that way. So I think it's a net positive, although it's related to one of those nasty billionaires out there. But it's a net positive. I feel like if this project comes to fruition in the way that is envisioned.
Yeah, plus I feel like if AI can actually help with all these kind of things, it could
Mm,
be very, very useful to kind of scale it in other places where illegal deforestation does happen. So
mm,
then people who actually deforest can be caught easily, and it can also be used for illegal poaching. So these same systems can be used for listening to sounds of poachers where they cannot be active patrolling, or there are some gaps somewhere. So if this AI technology can become effective, feasible, economical enough for it to be scaled up and used across places, then this might be a really, really good use of AI in saving environment and wildlife. And I think how Oops framed it is that AI is great as long as it's going doing good. It's the same thing with us humans. I mean, we start probably started off doing a lot of good, but things can go haywire at any kind of time. So it's great that AI is being used for a good cause in this way.
I'm just sharing my screen and sharing some sounds here as well, from this article. So these are the AI models, and they can detect acoustic patterns associated with environmental crimes in complex rainforest soundscapes. So, for example, this is a chainsaw that is being sort of recorded, and then the AI model will be sort of analyzing that uh,
Data.
that data. And yeah, then the AI model will be sort of yeah, it will play back. I'm just going to play these sounds. So as you can see, there's a it's a complex soundscape, as said, but to a human ear, you can hear that chainsaw in the background, although there is a lot of birds and crickets and all the rainforest sounds. You can hear that chainsaw in the background, and the AI model will basically target those chainsaws. Similarly, with the gunshot, you know, there's a lot of sounds, but there is a gunshot there. And then there's a jaguar sound, calling. Um, so yeah, so these are the sounds that the AI is detecting currently, and the audio samples that are given to train these models, basically, to determine what are the rainforest sounds and what are these chainsaw sounds. Because if there are too many false positives, then it will be a lot of wastage of a lot of effort for the officers to go in and then discover that was nothing. So a lot of wastage of money and effort altogether.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to train. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to actually help against illegal deforestation. And if it is effective there, then definitely this should be scaled all across the world. Uh, because sadly, illegal deforestation is a huge, huge, huge problem everywhere. And it would help all these organizations that actively take part in patrolling and making sure that illegal deforestation doesn't take place. This would be a great alert system. This would also be a big deterrent for all the illegal tree cutters.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Overall, a net positive, but we will see how it pans out, and yeah, we'll keep you updated if any new events happen in this space. Cool.
Yes.
Should we
Moving
move on
on
to the
to.
next one?
Yes. Actually, I wanted to, that was the topic that I wanted to cover with the insects,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just going to cover it quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
It says that don't reach for the bug spray. Scientists find insects may feel pain after crickets nurse sore antennae. Scientists are exploring whether insects experience pain. Using crickets as a case study, researchers observed crickets exhibiting flexible self protection behavior, such as nursing injured antennae, a cue that might indicate pain perception. This research aligns with a growing scientific consensus exemplified by the New York Declaration on Animal Consciousness, which suggests a realistic possibility of conscious experience in a wide range of animals, including invertebrates. Studies on bumblebees showing play like behavior further fuel discussions about the complex inner life of insects. The investigation into insect sentience has implications for how humans interact with and manage these creatures, potentially altering approaches to pest control and conservation efforts for endangered species like Australia's reptiles. And I think this is not a. I feel like obviously everything feels pain. It's just that we need a study to kind of support and tell us that yeah, this feels pain. We automatically think that if it's smaller and we can't see it, so it probably doesn't feel it. Like in our mind, we just feel like oh what are they even struggling with and how are they even feeling pain. But I don't know if you've ever seen, but I've seen like ants struggle. I've seen like smaller insects struggle, especially when sometimes they're overturned or a couple of their legs get crushed, or you would see that effort, you would see that helplessness, you would see that the struggle. And it's kind of very obvious that they probably do feel pain and they probably do feel discomfort, but we need a study to kind of support this and make us feel like they have a conscience and uh, they actually feel it.
I think the pain thing and the conscience thing is consciousness and all these things are applied to animals very selectively.
Yeah.
If we I think you have uh, said this multiple times, but if we attribute the feeling of pain and consciousness to a cow or a pig, then we won't be able to kill it and eat it. Whereas if I don't know if anybody in the audience has seen this. It's not a nature documentary in any way, but it's called "Don't Fudge with Cats." It's a true crime documentary of sorts. It's a very human interest thing, but I was watching it the other day, and it occurred to my mind. In this documentary, basically, the criminal he is posting videos of him killing kittens online. So, and the whole internet is outraged to the point where there are like secret Facebook groups to hunt down these killers. While I agree with all that, and it should have been done, but I was thinking that such an outrage would not happen when thing documentaries like Cowspiracy or documentaries like the food, um I think Food 2.0 or something like that, along those lines. Those documentaries are shown where the mistreatment of you know
Animals, yeah, domestic
animals,
animals.
domesticated animals, are shown. I think it's very selective. So we have to crush a bug or an um, or cockroach, for example. Um, I've done it
I think
many a
every
times.
all of us have done it, and sometimes you can't help it, and sometimes you are in a situation where you have to, but that's a different uh, what would you say, a different situation from actually wanting to just kill everything that is in your way. And that is the thing, like how it is easier for us to feel like they don't feel pain. It helps us live easier and not have a conscience of our own, because if
Mm,
we find out that they feel pain, then it changes a lot of things. But also, I think it's like the documentaries you mentioned, I think there are a lot of changes in the documentaries that are also being made, because I saw the recent, I think the BTS of this documentary called Secret Lives of Bees. And
mm,
it's an entire documentary on bees. And
mm,
obviously, we've spoken a lot of times about how bees are really important for the environment, and if the bees disappear, we disappear. But it's also nice to know that there are documentaries being made about something as small as a bee, as an insect, as small as a bee. So that is a nice change as well, where we are seeing more and more recognition for the smaller insects as well. And weirdly, I mean, we've just spoken about ants and it being smuggled. So obviously, people care enough to pay for them. So they probably do know how they behave and what they do and how they feel.
mm, no, I think that those things are um, some things that we must keep in mind. I think, um, as you said, like there are some situations where, as a society, I think we are, you know, made to sort of be disgusted by, or afraid of like small insects and bugs and creepy crawlies. It's often how we grow up and how our parents are and things like that. Inside our homes, if a bee enters, some people will run for their lives and things like that. It's a really hysterical sort of reaction to such a small insect, and that is where you take out your insecticide and start spraying, or take out your jandals and sort of start swatting away. So I think those things are there, but as Meghna said, like mass killings, we must take another look at it. And the main thing, I don't know if there is a alternative again, but the main culprit of this is the farming and the agriculture industry, right? With all their pesticides and all the things. But organic farming has shown that there is another way. There is a much better way. So I don't know if that is adopted in mainstream agriculture.
And also, very interestingly, they have shown or they've written in the article how they did this experiment. So they said dozens of crickets were randomly selected to receive one of three treatments. Some had a heated soldering iron applied to one antenna, and this iron was set to 65 degrees Celsius, while other crickets received the same probe but unheated, and the third acted as a control. And crickets that received the hot probe overwhelmingly directed their attention to the affected antenna. They groomed it more frequently and tended to it over a long period of time. And why this seems like something that they feel pain is because we see that same response in other animals. If you see a dog limping or licking its paw or holding one particular arm, of course we immediately say it must be in pain, it must be sore. So it's the similar thing with the crickets. The antenna that was agitated, I mean the antenna that was sore, it kept nursing it over and over. The
Mm,
other crickets, they obviously didn't know what happened, but they resumed normal activity very, very quickly, which means that it wasn't, it was only the heated one that actually had an response. It's a little exploitative, I would say, but still, the thing is that. The thing also is that we have to do such kind of experiments with so much exploitation to actually feel and give ourselves that answer that, oh my god, insects do feel pain. It's just the size, it's just the social conditioning. And I think this is something that we even learned in our masters as well. Oops, you remember, where they said that you can our teachers used to say that, where do you draw the line with insects? So you could freeze an ant to give it to a spider or a or a fly to give it to a lizard to be able to film them. But where
Mhm.
exactly do you draw the border? Like which insects or which animal are you not okay with exploiting? And the answer usually is that everyone is okay with exploiting insects.
Yeah, no, I think that is true. And like the freezing part also is like if you freeze insects, it slows down their body functions. So what you can do is freeze a butterfly, or not freeze, but refrigerate a butterfly, and then if you place it on a flower, then it will not fly away immediately, and you can take capture those beautiful shots of its wings and it sucking on some nectar or pollen and things like that. So that is a common technique that sometimes is used in the documentary space, wildlife, natural history documentary space. It's definitely a little uncomfortable, but it's not deadly. You're not killing that insect, but definitely making it a bit uncomfortable. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, but you also like either put it in the fridge or the freezer so that it can become food for something else, and or a bait for some other animal to come and
well,
eat it.
I'm
That
yeah, that maybe to the dead ones, maybe to the dead ones. Yeah, it's like baiting for fishing or something like that. But yeah, no, absolutely. Worms and insects come way below in the food chain and in the sort of empathy chain, as I call it.
That is true because I mean, in this article, it says humans are notoriously not very good at appreciating things that are different from them. And we cannot say that enough. I mean, even 90% or 95% of the humans that I interact with probably still extend their empathy towards dogs and cats, but that's where they draw the line of empathy. And they're not very good at appreciating things that are different. They cannot appreciate it. Even if you try to tell them how to appreciate, they would not be able to.
Yeah. Um, cool. Speaking of appreciation, humans apparently can't appreciate their own species very much as well, leading to long thriving wars, etc. This is a story from The Guardian again, which explores how bomb craters can surprisingly foster nature. Again, speaking to the resilience of nature and the bouncing back ability of nature that we spoke about a little bit last week as well. Headlined from V2 rocket scarred London to Ukraine, how nature thrives in bomb craters. The article explores how bomb craters are surprisingly foster nature, contrasting localized ecological recovery with widespread devastation. In East London, a 1945 V2 rocket crater at Walthamstow Marshes, Walthamstow Marshes transformed into a vibrant pond, now teeming with diverse wildlife. Similarly, in Belgium, numerous World War II bomb craters at Tomelin have become a nature reserve supporting 7 amphibian species, including newts. The natural resilience, however, contrasts starkly with eastern Ukraine. There, intense widespread bombardment causes catastrophic environmental damage. Entire forests are reduced to bare earth, and ancient soil structures are pulverized beyond function. The article illustrates that while isolated scars can indeed become ecological havens, the cumulative, pervasive destruction of modern warfare prevents nature's recovery on grand scale. So, yeah, I think this is a very crucial topic and the topic of the hour, and a topic that does not gets get spoken about very much.
And
Mm.
also the fact that we've done a few articles on this. We've talked about demilitarized zones and we've talked about thriving wildlife there, but this goes a step further in actually talking about how if there is just isolated scars, they can still become ecological heavens, which means that there are some areas that have not been completely pulverized, but if there is a pervasive destruction of some place where the entire area is destructed, then that recovery cannot happen because there's nothing left to recover from. So that is something that I think we need to take into account with wars, because there are areas where they're completely destroyed, and those areas take a even longer time to recover, because nature can only recover if there's at least something that they can start recovering from.
Yeah. I think this is a again, as I said, this is a very important topic. I just want to share some images as well, but before I do that, it's important to see that how these I guess nature is resilient. We have established the fact, and nature can bounce back from a lot of things, but the way modern warfare is the headed, I am very scared um, that how does this end for nature, because there is no way this ends well
It
for
probably doesn't end good for us either. Like, I mean,
not for us.
the way
Yeah.
it's going, and you know how every week everyone's on their edge that when will this war end? But there's more new war topics. Like, if Israel and Gaza are done, then there's Israel and Lebanon, there's US and Iran, and now there's probably Iran and UAE, and then there's like North Korea also is prepping for something. I have no idea
Mhm.
where North Korea is getting into, and people have conveniently forgotten, I think, Russia, Ukraine, but I think they are coming at an end to their war. But either way, the wars are increasing significantly, and if people have to choose sides, it might become World War III at some point of time. And even for humans to come back from it, it's going to be really tough, because that's going to be a nuclear war if it comes to that. And
Yeah.
nuclear war means thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people dying.
Great. So this is these are some images from the beautifully written article. So this is the bomb crater on Walthamstow Marshes, East London, formed by a German V-2 rocket strike in February 1945. The pond is a quiet ecological engine room in an otherwise highly managed urban landscape. So, as you can see, very unruly and very nature-like. It's not managed and manicured as these gardens and parks generally tend to be. Very cool to see that. Again, a small video of that particular marsh, and so it holds clean water all year round, supporting wildlife and cattle. So this is Park Ranger Luke Boyle. He's examining the spring growth at the edge of the bomb crater pond. Some close-ups of that aquatic plants and growth in that pond. So yeah, lot of pictures of that particular pond. This is bomb crater and on the Irpin floodplain north of Kiev, Ukraine. So this is another bomb crater, and as you can see, like nature has found its way in this and made a pond, and it's thriving there. So this is the early plant growth is tentatively returning to the slopes of a missile crater in Buda Babinska Buka district formed in February 2024. So it's quite fast. The process is quite fast. Within a span of few years, the nature can bounce back. Um, this is Dr. Bodhan Protz examines a crater in Makarev Buka district 4 years after the strike. The crater holds year-round water, a pattern repeated across Ukraine. So, as you can see, marsh frog in the crater in the Buka district. And yeah, this is the aerial shot of you know, the Urban Valley. So again, it just goes to say that nature is resilient, but it's only it's like a rubber band. You can only stretch it so much before it completely breaks.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I mean, that the thing is that these are great examples of how nature has been resilient. It's formed a pond, and everything is thriving in it. But that doesn't mean that we should keep doing it, because there is a
Mm,
point of no return. And with these wars, and in this article also, it's talked about how smaller scars are resilient. So, like, there has to be
mm,
something around for it to revive from.
Yeah.
Even these animals that go extinct or nearly extinct, we bring them back from that little population that is left. So we need something to start from, right? So similarly for nature also, you need something to start from. So something has to still remain. But if everything is decimated there, then it will just remain barren. It will remain barren even for the next 20 years, 30 years, because there's nothing that is coming there and growing.
Yeah, yeah. That is the talk of the hour there, and oftentimes during war, where human rights are in danger, it's often unthinkable even for at least the planners of such said wars to or the proponents of said wars to even you know think about animal rights or wildlife or conservation or any of these topics where sometimes these politicians are speaking of committing atrocious acts as genocide and things like that. So yeah, this is a topic that has been on our minds of late, and yeah, we will probably do something, a longer discussion or episode on that at some point in time. But um, uh, we really need to take a step back and sort of ponder about the consequences of our action, and that is what this article sort of illustrates. Scars can be healed, but if something is permanent, then it'll be very difficult for nature to
Yeah.
come back.
So here's hoping that wars do come to an end, and when they do come to an end, that nature can be resilient enough to recover, and that we don't keep spending all our time on wars. Because come on, guys, I mean, just because we have a lot of humans doesn't mean that this is how we, reduce the population. There are better ways to reduce the population. But we need to be more and more proactive and more about saving the environment than actually. Destroying it. And wars are just destructive for humans, for animals, for the environment, for everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool.
Okay.
That was what we had to say about that. We
Yeah,
can move on to the
moving
next one.
on to the next topic. We're going to be talking about how in eastern Indonesia, communities are reviving customary systems to protect the sea. A new documentary, Jejak Wallacea, showcases eastern Indonesian coastal communities reviving customary marine management systems to protect vital ecosystems. Facing threats like destructive fishing, turtle hunting, and habitat loss, these communities employ locally rooted approaches. The film highlights methods such as seasonal fishing closures, turtle hatcheries, mangrove restoration, customary sanctions, and community patrols across provinces like East Nusa Tenggara and Sulawesi. Produced by Burung Indonesia and Arise Indonesia as part of the Wallacea Partnership Program, the documentary emphasizes community empowerment and traditional knowledge over top down conservation efforts. It argues that effective conservation in the biodiverse Wallacea region relies on strengthening civil society's capacity and indigenous practices rather than solely on formal protected areas, demonstrating a successful community led model for marine ecosystem preservation. And even though this article kind of reads like an ad for the documentary, what we need to see is what the documentary focuses on, and it focuses
Mm,
on the traditional systems. And all traditional fishing systems are systems where they want the ocean to survive, they want the ocean to recover, they want the ocean to be in a healthy balance. And this is only what the traditional fisheries and fishermen still practice. That is because their livelihood depends on it. So they know that if they're greedy, they take too much, they destroy the ocean, then they would have nothing to eat, they would have nothing to feed, they would have nothing to sell. And this is where it comes from. But when big industrial trawlers go into the ocean, they're only thinking about their profit, they're not thinking about the locals or the livelihoods, they're not even in a local area. So this
mm,
is this is the difference that comes in. And it's not just in Indonesia, a lot of countries across the world where there are fishing communities and they stay on the edge near the sea. They're all very, very, very careful and protective of the ocean. um, And it's great to see that these kind of films are being made that are highlighting what all steps are being taken. And these seasonal fishing closures that they're talking about, there are actually seasons even in India. So, like, there are they say that, months that don't have um, or months that have R in them or don't have R in them, something like that. It says months that don't have R in them, don't eat fish in those months. So that would be like I think July, August, June, May, June, July, August. I think that you don't eat because September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April all have R in them. This is something that I've heard. I don't know. Oops can probably tell better because he's actually from a fish eating popular state.
No, I don't have an idea about that, but I do know that there are guides available where month-wise there are some fish that you can eat year-round, especially this freshwater fish that we farm. But the ones that we take from the sea or the natural river streams and things like that, there is a list of those fishes, and by each month that in January you should eat these varieties of fishes, February eat these varieties of fishes, and that goes to say that eat these and avoid everything else in those particular months. So I know that those kinds of guides are definitely available. We have been trying to collaborate with one such researcher slash social media person, but we haven't been able to get hold of her yet. But sustainable fishing and sustainable eating is something that should be adopted in every urban center. And as Meghna said, like these fisheries, the sustainable fisheries or the traditional fisheries, these come from the generational knowledge, and it comes from a place of respect, mutual respect, I would say. And it's a give and take relationship. But big corporations, yeah,
Yeah, I
that
think
will
oops also, I don't know, like the R month, I'm not sure who told me about that, but there is how you have a couple of months in the year, the rainy season, and a couple of months before that, where they say that fish lay eggs, and that is when the the fish are born, and that is why you shouldn't be fishing at that time, because you could be affecting their reproductive cycle. So which is why at that point of time, or those few months, a lot of fishing is prohibited or it's discouraged. So it might not be
mm.
across species, but across a few species or some species. I think there's like a spawning and a reproduction cycle that occurs in the same few months every year, and that is why they say that don't eat fish in these couple of months.
Oh, true, true. That could be a possibility. I think the fish we farm, those things don't apply. But humans are like we are very I guess resourceful in that way. The fish eggs are actually a delicacy where I come from, and we eat all kinds of fish eggs, and it's a delicacy in other parts of the world as well. So we
Caviar.
have caviar, exactly. So it's one of the most costliest things you can get out of a fish. So yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Caviar
not
is
sure. Obviously, maybe like maybe from traditional customs or whatever, the fish eggs and other things may have come into picture, but at the same time, there might be like a limit on what you can take, what you can't take, because
oh,
I
true.
do know that the reproductive cycle is something that fishermen are very strict about, because
Mhm.
that is when the fish would reproduce, and that is when you would have more fish, which means that when you come back from that the break season, you would have more fish, and that time for the fish to recover, so that when you come back to fish, there is no dearth of fishes. And this is
Mm.
this is very local knowledge.
Yeah.
And even in this film, basically they're talking about how you have seasonal fishing closures, the same thing that I was talking about. Then you have turtle hatcheries, and I think turtle hatcheries are very important. Even in India, in Chennai, there's a beach where in the night there are like patrols, and people find turtle hatcheries, then move the turtle nest from the beach into a protective hatchery, because a lot of times these turtles can grow, they can come out of the hatchery, and because of so much of light pollution, they tend to come towards the land instead of the ocean. So when there is no artificial light and turtles hatch and they come onto the beach, the land is darker than the ocean. The
Mm,
ocean always has more light than the land, so they're naturally attracted to the ocean and they step into the ocean. But when you have like artificial lights that humans have, then they get attracted to that, and then they get eaten and they get stuck and all of those kind of things, which is why turtle hatcheries are very, very important. Then they're also doing mangrove restoration, which is, I think, a big, big issue across countries now.
mhm.
People don't realize how mangroves are extremely important, how they act as like a force against the bigger waves, how they are home to a lot of animals, how they are like a support system. But because there's a lot of cut down of mangroves as well everywhere.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, so I think all of these things that the film highlights is great in that sense, that it's showing the local methods, and it's also showing how community led models are great for saving ecosystems. I always believe that local communities are not the ones that we blame. It's not the local communities, it's always the
Mm.
big corporations.
Yeah, and I think we have covered a few stories from Latin America as well, and Southeast Asia and South Asia, where local communities have taken the charge in their own hands to secure their own futures, and that has led to some beautiful outcomes, as is the case here. So I think this is a great piece of news, a great piece of documentary. If you guys find the time, go watch it. We haven't watched it, but um, definitely from the article, it sounds like it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play the trailer real quickly because it's in the
Hmm.
article for everyone to just see the trailer.
NTT dan Sulawesi terhubung dengan garis imajiner, garis Wallacea.
Sekarang kondisinya sedang tidak baik nih.
Laut ini dibom terus-menerus.
Kalau praktik perikanan yang ilegal ini terus dilakukan, nelayan makin susah cari ikan dong.
Jadi basis yang kita pilih adalah konservasi tapi berbasis kearifan lokal. Namanya kebang. Kebang lewa lolon. Kebang itu sendiri lumbung, lewa itu laut, lolon itu atas. Jadi lumbung di atas laut. Aktivitasnya itu kita memulai dari mengajak masyarakat, para pihak yang ada di dalam desa itu duduk bersama, bagaimana melindungi kebang ini supaya tidak diganggu.
Awalnya dari situ, Ibu. Ini ada orang kali penyu ini mau potong makan.
Oh,
Jadi dan dulu kan tempat ini orang selalu buru penyu dengan talurnya. Siapa yang harus menyelamatkan ini? Saya langsung pakai bisik, saya bilang, Bapak, tolong bantu saya. Kenapa?
Pulau Langkai dan Pulau Lanjukang. Penduduknya begitu ramah. Alamnya pun sangat indah. Sayang, terumbu karangnya banyak yang rusak. Padahal disitulah ikan dan gurita berkembang.
Ketentuan lembaga adat, bila mana ada pelaku yang masuk di Kaumbu, dendanya 5 juta. Itu dituntut bila mana dia menyangkal, maka Sarah mengambil satu kesimpulan bahwa kalau begitu kita adakan kaleo-leo.
I'm going to kind of stop with that because there are no I don't know. I didn't put the
Yeah,
subtitles on.
yeah. We can't understand a thing.
I
I was
should
going
have
to
put the
say.
subtitles on, I think. But
Um,
I did not put the subtitle on. But that's the trailer. And probably we would also be seeing it when we have the time, of course, with subtitles. But local documentaries are always impacted because, in the sense that you get into the lives of locals and you hear their hardships and their journeys.
True. True. So yeah, we will sort of do any follow-ups if anything arises from here. But overall, it seems net positive to us. We can probably um and move on to the next topic. Um, I'm just trying to find see which one I want to talk about. So again, talking about rivers and the deltas and things like that, this is a shorter story. Um, Says new Jaguar Rivers initiative aims to reconnect South America's fragmented ecosystems. Four conservation groups established the Jaguars Rivers initiative in South America's Parana River Basin to protect jaguars and threatened species, rewild wildlife, and safeguard land across Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and Paraguay. This biodiversity hotspot features shared rivers, allowing the initiative to reconnect fragmented habitats using riparian forest as vital wildlife corridors through cross border collaboration. Reinforcing these efforts, researchers in northern Argentina during the COVID 19 pandemic discovered a giant river otter, a species believed extinct in the country for nearly 50 years. The unexpected sighting in an impenetrable national park, like likely an otter from Paraguay, led to a protection campaign. This powerful encounter underscores the region's rewilding potential and existence of unknown wildlife populations, emphasizing the crucial need for comprehensive conservation. This is beautiful in terms of like seeing multiple countries collaborate for a unique and achievable goal. I feel like this is a win for everyone involved, and we must see, um, we must have more of these collaborations. It feels like it's recently when we spoke about wars and things like that. It feels like we are only talking about those things, but there are much more beautiful news about collaborations that we often forget to highlight. This is sort of the map from the article, the Jaguar Rivers Initiative. All connecting all these rivers.
Yeah, and the fact that a lot of this has been impacted and started by the giant otter that they saw. And the article basically says that when these researchers, a group of researchers, were forced to quarantine during COVID-19, they passed the time by just monitoring wildlife around their lagoon. And then they saw this giant river otter extinct for nearly 50 years. And it started building a den just beside their station. And they were like, oh my God, we couldn't believe it. It was like it had come looking for us. And this is what actually started the entire, uh, the impact and the efforts for starting this entire fragmented places and building them and combining them and linking them back together.
Yeah. I think that is correct. Maybe it was the otter that came looking for the humans. But it's a beautiful project. Very supportive of this, and very wishing. And this is my wish right here, right now, that we see more of these projects. Basically.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And the fact that more countries can come together and do such a project where like almost four countries are like, we have to save this river, we have to save the otters, we have to save this entire system. That is heartwarming because that is how countries should come together. That is how the entire world should come together. It's hard, but I think one giant river otter, if one single otter can do this, think about all the humans. I mean, there's so many of them. If we all know how much.
True. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so that was that.
yeah. And then we'll do the next one, which is actually again related to South America in some ways, but it is a um, what would you say, a update. So can relocating
Mm.
uh, Pablo Escobar's hippos to Anant Ambani's Vantara solve Colombia's problem? Vantara, a wildlife center in Gujarat, it's a it's a zoo, but like take it, while call it a wildlife center in Gujarat, owned by Anant Ambani, has offered to house 80 hippos slated for euthanasia in Colombia. These hippos are descendants of four animals brought to Colombia by drug lord Pablo Escobar in 1981. After Escobar's death, the hippos escaped his estate and have since proliferated in the Magdalena River basin, now numbering around 170 and projected to reach 1,000 by 2035. Um,
Wow.
Colombia declared them an invasive alien species in March 2022. Previous attempts at sterilization via the Gonacon vaccine proved labor intensive, costly, and largely ineffective due to the challenges of controlling dominant males. The proposed cull is informed by academic research highlighting the rapid unchecked growth of the hippo population. Um, and I mean, even though if it is a zoo or something, then I think the Ambanis will become the next Pablo Escobar because they are the ones bringing the hippos here. So they'll be the next people housing the hippos. We don't have hippos in India, do we? No, right?
No.
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 Yeah, so if these hippos again go loose in India, then we might have a different problem once that happens. But with Ambani's and the amount of space they probably have in Mantara, if they are ready to house 80 hippos, then I think Colombia should take that offer. Because instead of
Mm.
culling them, if someone is willing to pay, house, and take care, then why would you want to kill the animals? And at the same time, I mean, it seems like a win-win situation because one, there would be great press coverage and great, like, I mean, people will really hail the Ambanis for such a gesture that they've saved 80 hippos from being killed, and at the same time, Colombia and its problems can be kind of solved if half of the hippos are out from there. Still, I mean, if the hippos are thriving in Colombia, it means that they do have an environment for the hippos. Even if the hippos were brought from somewhere else, they did have an environment to grow there. And oops, you think hippos multiply that quickly from 170 now to 1,000 in 9 years?
Feels like it. At least that is if that is the research, we'll kind of have to believe that. But I think Ambani's will also have much more money than the Colombian government to spend on these hippos and using proper techniques to sterilize them. Not just a vaccine. Maybe doing a vasectomy of some kind, or I don't know what is done on animals. But that means that there would be vets. They would need to be, put to sleep or like temporarily, of course, and then they would have to be operated on. So that is the cost. I think the article mentions around like sterilization and things like that. So
No, the cost of sterilization is basically the initiatives that were taken by the Colombian government to try to keep in check the hippos. But even last time when we were reading this article, they thought it was not cost effective, or it was too
mm,
labor intensive, or that it wasn't bringing the kind of efforts, the results for their efforts. So they thought
mm.
it's better to just kill than put in so much money to try to save them, which is
Yeah. So
how
if
most humans, yeah.
Vantara is housing that, then they would definitely want to sterilize all the hippos because otherwise they would run out of space. And then it would create the same problem of getting, into the human settlements and urban spaces and whatnot. So I think, as we said, it's a win-win situation. If they go through with it, I think the Colombian government should take it. I don't think the government will have to pay for anything, or even if they pay for it, it would be like a one-way flight they pay for, or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a chance that some hippos will die in that journey, But even with that, I think 80 hippos is a win-win situation for these, because they're all slated to be like killed
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, they're slated to be killed. And this might also help the Colombian government get some money in, because the Ambani family is ready to fly them home then, and they must be willing to pay something in return for that. And they're getting a problem of their hands. That, I mean, generally this is again something that humans think of as a problem. Like, if humans thrive, if humans multiply, if humans are densely populated, it's fine. But the moment that hippos or camels or any other animal is multiplies, it's a problem animal. It's invasive. We need to kill it. We need to cull it. We need to throw it away. Whatever we can do with it. And this is what is happening with the hippos. Hopefully, we'll keep you updated if they are being relocated to India's Vantara and not being culled. Um, yeah, we'll keep you updated if that is the aspect of it. At least it is positive in some ways. The hippos will be alive.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So we can do the next one, which is a story from Africa and how France is involved in the investment in clean energy in Africa. So this is another article from Monga Bay, and it says Africa secures major clean energy deals as France deepens investment push. French and African leaders announced over 11 billion dollars in renewable energy investments at a Nairobi summit, underscoring Africa's pivotal role in the global energy transition. Companies like Total Energies, EDF, Kenya Airways, and Rubis Energy revealed diverse projects. Kenya Airways and Rubis Energy will develop Africa's first sustainable aviation fuel SAF facility in Kenya for net zero airline goals. Total Energies committed 10 billion in Africa by 2030, including a 2 billion renewable project in Rwanda and clean cooking initiatives. EDF also announced a 2 gigawatt hydropower project. President Ruto emphasized Africa's historic opportunity to lead this energy and industrial transformation. Um, I think there's a question there we are asking, which is the does this energy boom, the renewable energy boom, signal genuine industrialization or primarily foreign profit? I think we have talked about this a few times before as well. How Africa is in a position to be the change and show the world because of their vast deserts, because of the abundance of solar energy. I think there was a story about geothermal energy from Africa as well, where they're, where they have made some headway there. So Africa is in a unique position and a very historical position, as the president puts it, to show the world the way of renewable energy. But there's also the matter of sort of France investing in that you know whole deal. What do you think about that, Meena?
I think anything that's good, also when it's being pushed by another country, then you cannot be completely sure if it is just something that it has to be profit. Like any country,
Mm,
anything that's that big, like $11 billion, has to be something that means that they are getting a big profit out of it. Otherwise, no country would invest into another country and
mm,
push in that much money. But at the same time, at least the good part is that this amount of money is being pushed in for renewable energy investments, which
mm,
means that we are pushing, or we are changing, or we are at least uh, shifting our outlook towards renewable energy, and that is becoming the norm, and that is slowly becoming what most people are going towards. Obviously, the waste part of it is a different thing that we've spoken about, and how solar waste is not being recycling is not being effectively recycled. That is a
mm,
different problem. But at the same time, I think it's great that such kind of investments are being pushed. We do not know the profit motive, and we do not know the other motives that this probably addresses from France. But um, it is still a net positive story.
I feel the same way. Um, and if these numbers are to be believed, it looks like these are very good numbers in terms of investing in clean energy, clean cooking, and hydropower and things like that. Of course, there are better options compared to hydropower in terms of like as far as renewable energy goes, but that's a good start. And also, I think the Kenya Airways committing to net zero airline goals and sort of having that ambition as well. I think you know it's a step step in the right direction. We will of course have to keep an eye on this story and how it evolves, how it develops. We'll have to sort of update you on that whether it goes the way that is supposed to go. Because with politics and these kinds of investments and government changes, I think it can often get little all over the place in terms of you know how these projects pan out in reality. But as Meghna said, yeah, sounds like and looks like a net positive to me.
Yeah. And we have to keep saying, because it's great that if countries are investing into something that is more environment friendly, then there would always be a different motive, and there'd be an underlying reason for some kind of for all these kinds of investments. But at the same time, we have to see what kind of thing that they're investing into. So this is far better than the kind of $1 billion that are being wasted, like literally wasted in wars. So this is great, and this is net positive, and we will keep you updated on what is happening on this story as well.
Yeah. Mm, yeah.
Okay, moving on to
Um,
the next topic
yeah.
is teen innovators in Kenya turn farm waste into award-winning vehicle exhaust filter. So again, a really nice story. It's a small story. It's encouraging to see that teenagers, kids, the generation that's going ahead, that is very interested and is doing something like this for the environment. So Kenyan teenagers Frederick Choroge Kariuki and Miron Onsarigo have won the Africa region of the annual Earth Prize for their innovative Heva Safi exhaust filtration system. Designed to combat air pollution, the low cost system utilizes locally sourced materials such as coconut shells, maize cobs, and recycled batteries. The 17-year-old students from Kiambu County attended the M-PISA Foundation Academy and were motivated by personal experiences with respiratory illnesses linked to air pollution. Their project, meaning Clean Air in Swahili, is now a contender for the Global Earth Prize, with public voting opening soon. The international winner will be announced on May 29th. And I think we've spoken about this a lot of times before. Countries like India, especially, face a lot of air pollution, especially in the winters when the current changes and we don't have air to breathe. And this kind of innovation with just locally sourced materials could be the answer.
Mm, yeah. What a beautiful story, though. Like teenagers and innovators um, from Kenya um, turning this situation around, almost like. Um,
Yeah, and
I think.
sadly, they're saying that they are still struggling to find funding for their endeavor. The school has provided them guidance and raw materials, but they don't have the money to kind of upscale it. But if they win this award, the Earth Prize Scholars, then each one of them would win 12,500 US dollars, which could
Mm,
mean that they would have enough to produce more of these exhaust filters. I'll do a quick share of their faces of the two teen innovators and a prototype of their innovation. So these are the two Kenyan teen boys. The left one looks mighty proud of himself. Um, you know. So
yeah.
yeah, and this is the prototype of the Hawasafi 3D prototype model of the filter that they want to use, and this is again a full live photo. The existing filters that are already in the market cost nearly 390 US dollars, and according to the Hewasafi team, by contrast, their prototype only cost 126 US dollars. So that is amazing, and
Less than half.
yeah, less than half. I mean, it's almost like one third the cost.
Hmm.
So it's actually one third the cost, 126
Yeah.
versus 390. Yeah, so hopefully these teenagers get the backing. This news helps them, and there are better prototypes, and this can actually be pushed into the market. It's sad that we will actually have to invest into air purifiers, air filters, and all of these things than actually just have clean air. But that's where it's come down to. And a lot of like a big applaud to these scientific innovators for coming up with something like this.
True. A beautiful story. And I think I just wanted to say one point where there has been a lot of talk about the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha being much more conscious about nature and much more, you know, um, attuned with these issues compared to millennials or the previous generations. So I think that is a good positive sign that the future generations are taking matters into their own hands and advocating for these issues. But beautiful story overall. Um,
Absolutely. And yep. And I hope that there are more and more teen innovators and young innovators solving the Earth's problems.
yeah, yeah. We can do this one. I wanted to cover this one next. So this is from the Hindu. India to host first Big Cat Summit in June. The inaugural I can't pronounce inaugural. I don't know how to pronounce it. International the first, let's say the first International Big Cat Alliance IBCA Summit in New Delhi, June 1st to 3rd, 2026, will adopt the Delhi Declaration for Global Big Cat Conservation. The IBCA comprises countries with big cat population, including lions, tigers, and jaguars. 95 nations are expected to attend, with potential participation from heads of state. The summit, themed Save Big Cats, Save Humanity, Save Ecosystem, aims to foster transboundary cooperation, promote landscape based conservation, and improve habitats, prey, and big cat protection through coordinated programs and information sharing. Over 400 conservationists, policymakers, scientists, and industry leaders will convene to discuss innovation research and capacity building. This is great, getting people in the same room, getting all the policymakers and conservationists in the same room. Although it's it might not yield anything positive, but getting the discussion started is a big thing, especially when it's a focused topic like big cat conservation. And I think everyone is very all the money in most of these countries do go towards big cat conservation and megafauna conservation. So it's a good thing to get these all kinds of people in the same room and get the discussion going. That's a good initiative.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a lot to say on this topic because
Yeah.
we don't know what happens at the summit once the summit has happened. So it's more like an announcement.
Yeah. Just an update, basically. I do have something to say though. I, I mean, I probably it's a rhetorical question, but I don't know if these summits can be done online because flying all these people to a different location and that itself is such a huge carbon footprint. I don't
Yeah,
know. But I on the other side, like the reason I said it's a rhetorical question. I know the answer because nothing beats humans getting together in the same room. Nothing beats that. Till now the technology cannot beat that, and the quality of conversations that happen when you're in the same room is heaven and hell difference to the conversation that can happen online. So yeah, I don't know what you think about that.
No, I mean, obviously, it would be great if it can actually be done online, but there are two things when it comes to like conferences that like this. Obviously, it's like a break time kind of thing for people. People get to go explore a new
Mm.
place and kind of unwind a little, but at the same time have these serious discussions.
And also like
So
in the
we
same time zone as well.
yeah, that is the I think that is the major problem. I mean, when we also bring guests over, we have to actually always look for timings and coordinate for timings. So that must be one of the biggest factors. But also things do get done when you are in front of another person and you're talking and you want to get the work done. It's so much easier than online. But the footprint is always going to be a problem. That's with all the kind of summits and all the kind of conferences and everything else. Like all of them have the same footprint because these big leaders and representatives always also travel in a lot of different modes of
Private,
transport.
private.
But yeah, private
Yeah,
as well. Yeah, but let's see how it happens, what is spoken, and we'll keep you updated on that.
cool. Yeah, good one. Good one there.
Yeah, I think we can
Um,
cover one last topic. Oops.
yeah, yes, I think we have time for that. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a topic which we actually kept in the small um, what would you say, in the tiny topics, but it probably could be a big topic as well. It says a ban on trophy hunting would harm, not help conservation. A collective of academics argue that proposed trophy hunting bans are misinformed and detrimental to conservation efforts, suggesting campaigners clarify their motivations as either moral or conservation driven. They contend that if bans are moral, domestic hunting should also cease. From a conservation perspective, trophy hunting is not a primary threat, rather, it actively supports species like lions by conserving more land in Africa than national parks. The authors warn that reducing income from hunting through bans could worsen habitat loss, a greater threat. They highlight strong opposition from African nations such as Botswana, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, who label import bans as racist and colonial, undermining both conservation achievements and local livelihoods. This article concludes that those advocating for bans either lack understanding or disregard crucial facts impeding the development of evidence based conservation policies. It really, really, really seems like a push from a trophy hunter or from a group of trophy hunters. Uh, I can agree with the fact that obviously trophy hunting brings in money for the locals. That I am not negating. There is a lot of money in it because a lot of people want to come down and shoot a particular animal and take the what do you call it, a plaque or
Yeah, like a
yeah,
mounted. Yeah,
yeah, the
I,
mounted, yeah. But I would in no way say that it helps in conservation. That is something that I'm not going to agree with. I'm not going to agree with the fact that they're saying that it would worsen habitat loss. No. Uh, with the I don't know about the racist and colonial bit, that I don't know, but everything else I probably do not agree with because trophy hunting is the most useless thing. Like domestic hunting that they are saying should also cease. At least domestic hunting is done in remote areas where people hunt to put food on their table. They're not hunting because it is pleasure. A lot of domestic hunting happens only because they want food on their table or they go fishing. It's the same like fishing. They go fishing so that they can put food on the table. I don't really support the hunting for pleasure kind of thing. And trophy hunting is
mm,
not even pleasure. It's just some ego massage kind of thing.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's a way to satisfy that urge because people who live in urban spaces do not cannot satisfy that urge of like maybe that's in our genes or blood or whatever. I don't know if that urge is present, but I completely agree with Meghna in this regard that this seems like a push from a group of lobbyists and employing a fake researcher or someone who is pro hunting researcher to do some fact checking and then just publish a paper saying that you know this is more harmful than it is useful. um you know the money might come from it, but tourism is also there. Tourism brings in a lot of money, especially for the African countries. And I think if there is less hunting, there's because when you're hunting, when the hunting season is on, The tourists cannot enter the park because accidentally some bullet might hit the tourist or something like that. So um, I think that bit is there. If hunting is stopped, then more tourists can come in. And I think it is true that the Zimbabwe and Namibia, they are labeling the um, you know the bans as racist and colonial. I don't know. I don't think it is that. Maybe they're thinking that, oh, um, these other countries are trying to ban our livelihood or ban our source of income, and therefore it is a
Yeah, yeah,
racist
yeah.
attack on us.
It
Yeah.
is it is that only. It is primarily that because they get a lot of money through that. But at the same time, I remember that when I was in South Africa once, there was a private reserve, and in that private reserve, they had a lion that was photographed a lot. He was an old boy and he was very majestic, and they were thinking of actually putting that lion up for trophy hunting, and they were getting a lot of money for that lion. But there
Mm,
was a huge backlash for that line, and that is why then they decided against putting the line up for trophy hunting. And
mm,
the people came together and they said, no, 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 we love photographing this person, sorry, this lion, and you
mm,
cannot put him down. So it's not like that lion cannot, or that, whatever animal it is, cannot get the same amount of money through phototourism and other kinds of methods. But and because usually hunting areas don't allow phototourism because they don't want all of this documented. So instead
yeah.
of hunting, there can be other ways of promoting money and tourism in a healthy way than actually having trophy hunting. Because trophy hunting, I feel, is the weakest way a man can actually show power over an animal. You just have a gun, you're sitting in a vehicle, you're shooting an animal, a helpless animal, you're seeing it fall to the ground, and you take a selfie or a photo with it, and then you cut its head and take its head back on a plaque. In what way are you more powerful than the animal?
Yeah.
Just that,
If this
just
was
that
a
someone invented a gun.
Yeah, yeah. If this was a gladiator fight or a bullfight like a matador does, or a bull riding event or something like that, that there could still an argument could be made that, oh, we are more powerful than this beast or whatever. But here in the modern day, and how huntings are done with like guns with really high high range and powerful guns, yeah, it's not your dominance that you're showing. It's just a pleasure thing. You fired a shot, you killed something, and you satisfied an urge or an itch that you had. That is basically all that you did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can quite agree
and
with that.
it's just that because it's a wild, beautiful animal, it kind of become a sport. Imagine if that's how it was allowed on humans. You would not be okay with it. That you're out just walking on the road and someone shoots you and cuts your head and puts it on their wall. So I don't think trophy hunting in any way, any person who kind of opposes it and calls it like a ban on conservation kind of thing. I think it's an I don't know if Facebook would flag me for
Yeah,
saying things, but yeah, it's just not a person of sound mind, is what I would say.
correct. Yeah, yeah, completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Cool.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
that's I think where we end our show today. But
mm,
before we go, a message for you guys. It's actually going to be about the last topic. What do you think about trophy hunting? Do you oppose it as much as we do? Is it something that you knew about before? Is it something that you found out today? What irks you about it? What do you like about it? And do you believe or do you support with what the news has said?
right. That's thoughtful question there. If you have any other comments about this question or about the topics we covered or some things that we missed out on, do let us know in the comments. We get some messages over emails sometimes, but it would be nice to see more people participating. That would mean that we have made an impact on those people. So Do that, and what also helps is if you guys subscribe to this channel and like and share this video. That just means that it has more reach and more people can be exposed to this way of thinking and this ideology of sort of living in harmony with nature and so on. So go do that. It takes only a second. We are on all the major social media platforms, and we go live everywhere all at once. So go follow us there, whichever platform you're most active on, and you'll be able to see us live there. If you're listening to a recorded version of this episode, do consider leaving us a rating on your favorite podcasting platform. And that really helps with sort of the reach and the reachability of this show. And share it with someone who shares your views in wildlife and conservation, or share it with someone who does not share your views, just to expose them to a new way of thinking or a new way of thinking in their repertoire. But other than that, that's it for today. And we'll see you next Sunday. Same time, same channel. Have a
Bye
good one,
bye.
guys.
Oh, sorry. Bye bye.